he may not be anymore, but he was at the time the executive director of NASA at Kennedy Space Center. So that was really important for me, and it was an awe-striking moment when I was able to see that. So please, if you don't do anything else during your time there, go to Kennedy Space Center and witness that for yourself. I think you'll be pleased. Sharon, thank you so much for having me here today. I want to thank our military men and women. Any in the room? Please stand. We want to recognize you and appreciate you. Stand up. Give him a round of applause, please. Mr. Redmond, thank you for your service. Thank you very much for your service. And we hear that a lot. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your service. And then say it, and it goes out in one ear and out the other. But truly, the Republican Women's Club, this Republican Women's Club, have gone above and beyond to thank our military men and women for the sacrifices that they make. Not only do we go, I spent 20 years in the military. I was an enlisted jet mechanic when I joined in 1979, retired as an aviation maintenance officer, lieutenant commander. It was a career that I would not have changed for the world. I was able to meet the most wonderful people, get the greatest experience in management and leadership, traveled the world, saw what I didn't like, saw what I liked, and know that I love this country more than anything else. As an immigrant to this country, my parents came here for a better way of life. But I tell you what, many immigrants aren't coming in here because it's a bad country. They're coming to this country because they see the opportunities, they want to experience the liberties and freedoms that some of us take for granted. But this Republican Women's Club, under the leadership of Sharon, have gone far beyond to make sure that our men and women in the military understand, and the members, and you have contributed to that success as well, to let us know that you appreciate us for the things that we've done. The separations from family. My first tour of duty, going away, leaving a young baby behind, was one of the hard-tugging moments. But back then, they said the military didn't issue you a family. You had to do what you had to do. Military is 24/7. And it still is in most cases. We have kind of, how you want to say? Soften the impact to some extent. But when it came time for deployment, there was no excuse. As a matter of fact, there was one time, and I have a book of my autobiography called When You Get There. And in my book, I talk a little bit about some of the struggles of being a woman in a professional environment that was predominantly male. When I first joined the Navy in 1979 and went into the aviation community, it was just opening up to females. And many of the senior enlisted men did not want females in their Navy. And it made it very difficult at times because you were being undermined. And for me, much of my career was 99%, I would say, of my career. I was either the only female or the only black female or the only female officer or the only black female officer. So being on the top echelon is not easy, particularly when you turn behind and there's no one else there of true support. In this group, you have true support. But I say that too to say, Happy Mother's Day to mothers. I say that too to say, without my mother giving me the strength and showing me how to be a lady and how to compose myself and how to believe in myself, I probably would not end up to the woman that I am today. As we go into Mother's Day this weekend, knowing that you are appreciated, you are loved, and you are the ones that make the future generation of women to be successful. So give yourselves a hand as well for the mothers. Of late, we're seeing a number of men demean women, particularly in the media, under the disguise of a joke. As women, we should not stand for that at all. My time in the military, I had to deal with, I didn't have to, but being the only one, and if you couldn't get along and you were the one to raise the issue of sexual harassment, sexual innuendos, you're the one that could not assimilate into that organization. You're the one that's blackballed. We work very hard, ladies, to get to where we are. As professional women, as women, young women that are trying to elevate up the ladder, we don't need any more barriers, particularly from men who feel that they can demean us with their language under the disguise of a joke. And what has been so silent and deafening is all the women's groups that claim to be for women's rights that have not spoken up to say enough is enough, and this lewd, lascivious content of your language will not be tolerated. Why? Because it is said against conservative women. Well, I didn't know that our body parts were made up any different than a liberal woman. Maybe. But as far as I know, we're women. So if the issue is equal rights, fairness in treatment, discretion, respect, then all women ought to band together against these vile, lewd comments from these entertainers that feel that they can demean us. Our mothers have to step up and say that we will not allow our young ladies to hear these vile comments. Our mothers have to step up and slap their sons when they speak like this. The girlfriends have to step up and challenge their young man to say, you will not treat me or talk to me like this. When our sons were coming up, we have 3 children, and thank God all of them are very successful and have graduated from college and have still listened to their parents and still respect and revere their parents. And we're very blessed in that endeavor. But my sons, they have dirty rooms, and they won't iron their pants, and they come out all wrinkly. I go, why would you go out looking like that? Don't you take some pride in yourself? And my husband would say, when they hook up with a good girl, they will clean themselves, they will smell good, they'll clean their rooms. And so true. Women have such a great responsibility in society for fixing things, for building things, for educating, to informing, to creating great things of either people or art or clubs. We have that mindset, we have the nurturing aspect, and we also have the authority that people would listen. You